Live from Los Angeles. Welcome back to Good Morning, LaLa. On Wealth Wednesday, there's a big talk about women entrepreneurs in the house, which is Cait Scudder. She's a business coach. She basically you help women scale to 6 figures and up, helping driven women scale. Very, very, very important. She's a TEDx speaker and all the above. And you just moved back from Bali.
I did.
So we're like soul sisters.
Yes, girl.
From Bali to Boston, that's got to be a shift.
Oh my gosh, massive transition.
So how did you, in 1 year, create a multi-6-figure business for yourself in online coaching?
So for me, there was a lot of, when I finally pressed go, that's when it all happened within a year. But I spent, I'm sure, like a lot of women, most of the women I know, twiddling my thumbs, thinking about getting started, and just really holding back. During that time, I learned a lot, but I also spent a lot of time on the sidelines. And I think that part of what happened for me is because I waited so long to take action, when I finally did, I was just all in. And I think that, I believe so much when you are completely committed. That's why I say I help driven women, because when you're driven and you're all in, you can create results super fast.
It's so important. I do think that it's like a, the application process or working with somebody like, as a coach, how do you know that they're committed?
So one of the things that I do, and I actually teach this in some of my sales programs, is I pre-qualify all of my leads, whether it's for a group coaching program or an individual coaching program. It's so important for me to understand and to really know both where someone is at in terms of their either ideation or where their company is already at, but also their values and how important. One of the questions I ask is, how important is it to you to see the results that I'm reading that you say that you want? And that question is really strategic, because it helps me know, is this person going to be all in? Because if I'm showing up for you, I'm going to give you 150%.
But let's say they go all in and their business is booming. How do you control the chaos that can come along with that laptop lifestyle?
So, such a good question. The real answer is you can't. You can't control the chaos. I think that anybody who's in business knows that there are always going to be things that are outside of your control. I think the more important question is, how do you learn to live with the uncertainty that being an entrepreneur brings? And how do you learn to develop the muscle of trusting yourself and responding to situations? So I think there are certain skills that are required and that can be developed in terms of forward planning and avoiding, circumstances that can bring a lot of additional chaos, but also learning to be quick on your feet and roll with the punches and really trust yourself as your own CEO.
Yeah. I wonder, I listen to, of course, lots of podcasts, watch lots of interviews with entrepreneurs or senior entrepreneurs, and lots of them are very convicted about saying, look, there's no such thing as work-life balance when you're an entrepreneur. And, other people disagree. But what would you say, what's been your experience, and do you believe that there's a sweet spot where you can have work-life balance as you're continuing to sort of build the business or at least getting it started?
That's such a good question. And I think it's so important, especially in the social media age that we're in, because, where at one time, going on Instagram may have just been for fun. Now, if that's part of your business, it's also part of your business. I believe, look, for me, the things that I apply, I don't respond to clients at night. I'm not online at night. I might be online checking things. I might be on social, but there are certain boundaries that I have. I think another really helpful work-life balance technique, something that I've implemented, is having certain times of my schedule. Controlling your schedule, it's a whole nother topic, but it's so important as an entrepreneur. And I think it really helps contribute to developing more balance. So there's certain times that I do, I work with clients, certain times that I'm talking with my team, and then times that I'm offline. And if I want to be on social, great, but it's not for my business.
There's a reason why they call it an organization.
Yes, exactly.
Challenge me.
Being organized.
Oh my gosh, I know.
So much so.
So
So where do you see, we've had this huge influx of women entrepreneurs and women rising and where do you see all of this going?
Such a good conversation. I see the rise of women in the business space. I see the rise of women in the personal development space, in the self-development space, really contributing to a greater conversation where I still think that women, the conversation is very much women rising up, but I think that when we achieve some actual movement in that area, it's really going to be a conversation of how are men in their power and women in their power collaborating and creating together at an equal place.
And to truly be in your power, though, you have to understand your niche.
Yes.
So how do you really help your clients nail their niche?
Such a good question. I love this topic. So first of all, I want to say, I think a lot of people approach niching thinking, I've got to become hyper specific. Like I'm a, life coach for Aquarians or something like, hyper. But I think what's really interesting is when it comes to niching, we don't actually have to add anything else, add anything extra. What it really is about is understanding what you already are that's different and how you're going to express what you're doing in a way that's unique and has a tangible point of difference. So the first step that I always encourage my clients to take is getting hyper specific on the problem that you solve for your clients. You don't need to tell me that my ideal client is Jessie, she's 32, a graphic designer living in New York, wanting to change. I see a lot of people approach it from like an ideal customer avatar worksheet perspective, when really I think it's like, what's Jessie struggling with? What's her day-to-day life look like? And what's the ripple pain that not solving that problem is causing to play out in her life or business? If you can speak into that, you're nailing your niche.
I love that. I completely agree with you about that, like particularly around the personal branding and being clear about your niche. And we talk about this a lot on the show, that your greatest problem points to your highest purpose. And that's true in personal life, but also your professional life. For you, what's been your greatest challenge and what do you feel the most conviction around when it comes to coaching other people?
Such a good question. So for me, my greatest challenge, I'm a highly creative person. I'm a highly action-taking person. Sometimes I can move faster than I can even keep up with myself. So the way that I've dealt with that is making sure that I have really high quality support at different levels of my business. I think that one of the most important things for women to keep in mind, anyone really to keep in mind when it comes to growing a business, is the need for head support, like strategy, vision, knowing where you're going, and hand support. So people to help you do things in the business so that you're not working, 21 hours a day, and really are able to maintain that balance.
We're all for hiring things out.
Delegate.
Well, tell people how they can work with you.
They can find me at CaitScudder.com. They can listen to my podcast. I talk about a lot of my programs there, but CaitScudder.com is the best way. And I'm always active on Insta as well, so they can find me at Cait Scudder.
Great. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you for
Kate.
having
Stay tuned.
me.
We'll be back with more on Good Morning La La Land.